sports season is here. We're also in the SEC basketball tournament. We'll dive into that a lot more. But we're talking SEC football as of right now. Spring football underway. Last segment we talked about the Alabama Crimson Tide. Lots of familiar faces. Ryan Coleman-Williams is back. You have the coach, Ryan Grubb is back with Alabama offensive coordinator. Kalen DeBoer's back. But there are some fresh faces in this league, including over at Florida.
Yeah.
First-year head coach Jon Sumrall. We had got a chance to talk to you about this move since they made it when he became the head coach there. But as a fan of the Tennessee Vols, I think the rivalry is not necessarily watered down, but not as much. What was your overall thoughts about Sumrall now as he enters year one?
Yeah, I think he was a good get for Florida, and I like this matchup a lot. I know it's actually funny, when I was at Auburn, a lot of us over there had thought Sumrall had a good shot of getting that Auburn job, and then next thing we knew, he was down at Florida. So I'm excited to see what he's able to do here. I love the way that he builds a culture within his team, and I think he's going to be good for those Florida fans.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, not that long ago, he was in the Sun Belt at Troy, and then there you see him in some video when he was with Tulane. This has been a very, very fast rise in the trajectory. So his past would make you think / assume that going from Troy to Tulane, which is also a step up, that he might be able to handle this now, Tulane going to Florida. Patrick, do you believe that he can have the same success at the same level as he's had over the last 4 seasons?
I think so, because he is just one of those young minds that is just totally in love with football. And I think that's the growing trend that we're going to start seeing here with these head coaches. It seems like the game, especially with NIL, is heading in a new direction. We have no idea what NIL is going to look like next year. Even a few years after as well. Like there's just no idea. I know there's some guidelines that are trying to be put in place, but you're going to start seeing some of these programs start taking chances on younger guys that can really develop chemistry, because one of the big things that we have started to pay attention to ever since NIL became a thing was team retention. Yeah. And being able to get guys to commit to you year after year rather than just on a one-year basis. And I feel like these younger coaches can resonate with some of these guys while still pushing them to be the best that they can be. But, I mean, you talked about him. He has quickly risen through the ranks. Only 4 losses in 2 years at Troy. Then he had the big year at Tulane last year. Obviously, Jake Retzlaff coming over from BYU, and that whole situation was a big get for him right before the season started. But I think he is definitely the right fit for the job. This is exactly who Florida needs if they want to get back on track.
Yeah, I think so too. And he is stepping into a much, much bigger pool.
Right.
And the pressure is way up. Go ahead.
I would agree with that. And it is his first time in a P4 head coaching job, but I just love I feel like he has such a winning mentality. I mean, when you look at his record of 43-12, like that's crazy. And he's the only coach in football history to reach a conference championship game in all 4 seasons. Right. So, I mean, when you look at that, it's pretty impressive. Obviously, the talent isn't the SEC, but I think he's ready for this next step.
Since Urban Meyer, we've seen lots of coaches come in and out of there. Do you think that the pressure might be too much from the Florida, not from Coach Sumrall putting it on himself, from the fan base putting it on this team to replicate what they've done? Because the expectations with the Gators are similar to what they are to Alabama and several others who expect to be in the college football playoff every year.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that it's too much. You know, like when you're a part of a fan base, like you want a winning team. Sure. And this is the best division. You have all the resources you could need down there in Florida. I think it's reasonable to want a winning season.
Yeah, and I get that. And I don't know if where Florida fans' expectations are in their own mind matches reality in a lot of ways. Right. But he does have to get a lot of things done as he goes. The reason why I was asking about the pressure is because he said something really funny in a press conference about one of his off-season plans. He might have been able to do this at Troy. He might have been able to do this at Tulane. He's not going to be able to do one thing now with the Florida Gators, especially in year one.
Yeah, I'll take a few days. I'll be here some, and it's my wife's 40th birthday and our 15th anniversary this year. We were supposed to go to Italy for spring break, and I took this job. So we're gonna do something here in the state, but we'll not be going to Italy because I got too much to do.
That made me laugh for a lot of reasons, because it lets you know the pressure cooker that he's now in. Had he been in another school, he might have been able to take that trip to Italy. I want the female perspective on this, because if let's just say you were married to a coach, and this is a big birthday. This is birthday number 40. But then he says, can't do it. What will be your initial reaction?
I mean, God bless a coach's wife.
I know.
Like that, that is a tough situation to be in. I think it goes back to the fact that, Jon Sumrall just loves football, and he wants to be there, and he wants the best for his team. But, man, that's a tough situation. I mean, what would you do?
I mean, I think I would have to say that I would not take the trip to Italy, because you cannot have the fans. You can't give them ammo. And the ammo would be, hey, look, DeBoer's in Tuscaloosa, Kirby's in Athens, you got Heupel in Knoxville, everybody's on their job, and our coach is in Rome.
Right.
That can't happen.
And I do see that, but I was laughing because I saw on Twitter next to his statement was a video of Lane Kiffin, like, island hopping in the Bahamas. Which is just, like, so accurate for those two,
That is hilarious. Patrick, your take on the canceled Italy trip, and could you do that? I mean, you're not married yet, but let's just say that it was Kenzie's 40th. Could you do that in that space, or would you just have to say, hey, look, this is a new job, new boat that we're swimming in here?
See, I don't know, because I will never be a college coach. So if I were taking a new job, I'd just be like, hey, I've got this coming up, so I'm going to plan around it. But I have seen a lot of responses on social media, and I think they're funny, because people, I think, would care and feel bad for him if he wasn't making the money that he was making.
Right.
And obviously, since money is a big topic of discussion in college football right now, it begs the question, should these coaches be paid less money? Because obviously we talked about the whole Lane Kiffin contract. LSU threw the kitchen sink at him just to get him to leave Oxford. We'll see if that works out for them, or if we're going to have another crazy press conference from Jeff Landry in a few years about how he just starts bashing Lane Kiffin and why we have these massive buyouts and everything. But should these head coaches make less money?
Tommy Tuberville, former coach, coached at Auburn, coached at Cincinnati, coached at Ole Miss. He brought this up, and he made about $5 million to take a buyout, and he said the same thing. His coach is making $8, $9, $10 million. These buyouts being north of 50 in the case of Brian Kelly, north of 70 in the case of Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah.
I do think that maybe we're living in a bubble, and I think that bubble may burst. But the thing, I've always said this about finances, and I've always said this about compensation. Your value is what somebody's willing to pay.
Right.
So should these coaches be paying this much?
Up every year.
I don't think the job should be paying that much, but if somebody's willing to pay it, and this is the market that you live in, this is what you have to do. Especially same thing with quarterbacks.
Right. And I would love to see the numbers in comparison to, like, how much the program is bringing in, like, in general, like, what percentage are these coaches getting? I mean, it's hard. Like you said, it's constantly going up. And if you want the coach, like, you got to be willing to put the money out there.
Yeah.
And now that we're getting into these bidding wars and, there's certain coaches that multiple schools want, it just makes the number go even higher. I think the buyout situation I've always found that interesting because, like, why are we giving these coaches so much money when they didn't bring success to the program?
Right.
And so we kicked them out, but we're still, like, I think Auburn is still paying Gus Malzahn.
Yes.
There is so much money that's going to these coaches that haven't even been a part of the program for years now. So I don't know if there is a way to rework that part of the negotiation, but it's an interesting concept for sure.
The agents will not have any talk of no buyouts.
Oh,
and so
for sure.
we've already set this precedent, and I think it's here to stay now, and especially with these high-profile agents. The two biggest faces, the two main faces on any team would be the head coach and the quarterback.
Right.
Going back to football, Florida now looking for its next quarterback. It will be a quarterback battle like we talked about with Alabama.
Yeah.
I think this is an interesting one here, Patrick, because you're talking about a guy that will be the leader of this next era. When you're talking about Kalen DeBoer, this is quarterback number 3 in year 3, but you had the same offensive coordinator. What do you think these two guys will have to prove as they now go for this QB1 job?
Well, I think if you're Aaron Philo, who comes over from Georgia Tech, you got to prove that, hey, I was the next in line to Haynes King, and I ended up choosing to come to Florida because I believe in what Jon Sumrall does. And I mean, when you look at what Tulane did last year, they were an offensive-heavy team. The defense was all right, but I mean, when they were going up against Ole Miss, which was by far and away what seemed like the best offense in the country in the postseason last year, that's kind of like I don't know if I can really bring up that matchup with the defense. But the offense held its own against Ole Miss, and it's going to be the same style offense that you're going to see this year under Jon Sumrall. So Aaron Philo, I would expect him to be that Haynes King type player where he's going to be able to run it like you can see here, but also be able to throw it to some of these wide receivers, including Dallas Wilson, who we didn't really see that much of last year due to injury. And then if you're Trammell, I almost feel like you just got to show how much you grew over this past season. And this spring is going to be more important, I think, to Trammell than it will be to Philo, just because it almost feels like here's what I can relate this to. You know how you're the guy that stays here for a while. Let's just say, for example, you're the guy that's been loyal to a program / your travel baseball organization, your whatever you want to call it, your club,
like Ty Simpson.
Anything. And then another guy comes in. I almost feel like in his mind, that's got to eat at him a little bit because that's Jon Sumrall. If I was an athlete, and I don't think this is what Jon Sumrall's trying to do by any means, if I was an athlete in that situation, I'd be like, all right, this coach doesn't believe in me. Why? I'm just going to go out and prove to him why I deserve this job.
Right.
Which in turn makes everything better because better competition in camp will lead to better football on the field.
Right, exactly. And I think that if you are stuck in that position, it will show, hey, there are no established roles here. Everybody has to earn their spot. Everybody has to earn their take. He's had Jake Retzlaff as his quarterback. He had Darian Mensah as his quarterback. Two different styles of quarterbacks. So it'll be interesting to see who wins this QB1 job. We heard from Sumrall about what it will take as these two compete for it.
Yeah, there's, to me, some sort of rite of passage here. You don't just walk in and you go with the first practice you're here the whole time. Doesn't mean those guys haven't taken reps for the ones. Like, but whether it be quarterback or O-line or D-line or DB, whatever. Yeah, I mean, they're all getting plenty of reps. Right now it's about getting reps, learning the system, competing, and certain guys will elevate. And, this time of year, the depth chart's always written in sand. Now, there is a depth chart because you have to go out and, there has to be the first group and then the second group and the third group. It's not like imaginary groups. So you have to have a first group for that period or that day or that rep. But it's also written in sand. So, you could be running with the ones today, and if it ain't a very good day for you, you might be running the ones tomorrow. And so, but yeah, I think we're just working through trying to figure out who individual players are, and nobody's anointed here. I can promise you this, nobody to come here was promised a certain amount of playing time, and nobody to keep them here was promised a certain amount of playing time. Every player on our roster, all 111 in the process of retaining or player acquisition, was told, you will get what you earn in regards to playing time.
Florida's schedule is really interesting as they go into next season because it does, if you're a Florida fan, not saying that it's easy by any means, but the last 2 years, the schedule has been absolutely brutal. I think they had the toughest schedule of any team in the country. Yeah. It seems to ease up at least a little bit.
For sure. It's so hard to look at these schedules right now, though, just knowing how much turnover there's been in the SEC. I mean, Florida's an entire new program. Auburn's an entire new program. Ole Miss, a little bit of change there. I mean, there's just so many new scenarios in the SEC. It'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, and I think obviously you have Campbell there that feels like a win. Florida Atlantic feels like a win, but Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss, you have South Carolina with a returning starting quarterback, Oklahoma with returning starting quarterback, Auburn with a veteran quarterback, Texas, Arch Manning is back. They beat Texas last year, though. Florida State, who knows, and Gunnar Stockton back at Georgia. So they'll face a lot of players that have experience.
Right.
Doesn't seem like a daunting schedule to me. I don't know what the over-under on them is, but if it's anything under 8, I'm going way over because I think that this team can win a bunch of games going into this year. The good thing for Sumrall, though, is ain't nobody paying attention to football right now because all eyes are on basketball with the number one team and the defending national champion.
Yeah.
Do you think this puts more or less pressure on the boys when they strap it up in the fall?
I don't know that it does either.
Okay.
I feel like, Florida fans are happy to get that win in basketball. They're excited about the program, but everybody wants a good football team, right?
Yeah.
So I think regardless, you're going to want to win national championships in football.
For sure. Patrick?
I take a look at this scenario and what's going on at LSU. Because it seems like LSU women have a great program. LSU baseball, obviously, with the 2 national championships in the last 3 years. And then you look at the football team. Yeah, you went through some tough years under Brian Kelly, but you've got Lane Kiffin coming in, and you've got the #1 transfer portal class, so things are looking up there.
Yeah.
And every time I would see something in regards to the LSU men's basketball team, everyone was just so angry about it. And I feel like when you have – it almost is the pressure of, we want to be the best overall university for sports. And if there's one thing that's dragging us down, that's going to make us really angry about it, and we're going to get on that program to get better moving forward. So I almost feel like if they do win back-to-back national titles this year, which I do believe is going to happen, I'm going to go out and say that on the record on March 12th, that they are going to win another national title in men's basketball, that inadvertently puts pressure on Jon Sumrall to get things back afloat, so to speak, in the wake of Billy Napier.
My point is kind of a hybrid of your both, because I think you both make great points, because I don't think that they are – I don't think that obviously both the fan base want both championships.
Right.
But if I think about one school that has been great at both, it was Florida when they're in their run, when they had Urban Meyer and then the basketball team under Billy Donovan.
Yeah.
They both won a national championship. And that's the only time we had seen football, men's basketball at its peak at the same time.
Right.
So to your point, I don't think immediately it puts any pressure on them, but I think Florida fans are going to be like, man, I want those old days back. We have this April feeling.
Right.
I want that January feeling as well.
For sure. And I get that. And I think more of my point is, regardless of how the basketball team is doing, you're always going to want a solid football program.
Right.
There's always going to be that pressure on the football program to perform at a high level.
No